Welcome to the Stacked Supplement Podcast, the premier source for supplement news and reviews.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, where we round up all of the top stories and exciting announcements shared from the past 7 days. And we did miss last week's podcast episode and interview. I was on a somewhat of a holiday, but still, as always, as every day of the year, every week of the year, Stack News was pumping out exciting details and information. I was working full week, usual time on the site, and last week was probably one of the most exciting and hyped up weeks I had seen in quite some time. There were big announcements, big news from many brands, functional companies and whatnot, and we're going to get straight into it. We're going to jump in with news from Rocket Nutrition. Now, these were the guys that won our the booth of the FIBO 2019, I'm thinking it was. We gave it an award we had the X Supplement Expo Awards, and booth of the best booth was one of the awards we gave out, and at FIBO 2019, Rocket just kind of took it. If you're not familiar with the brand, it is a beast. It is very popular in Germany. Across Europe, it's got a lot of different products available. And this year, it kind of made a very interesting leap and promised to fans that it was going to become completely vegan by the end of the year. I think it was March, maybe around there somewhere. It announced that it is no longer producing non-vegan products. Obviously, it's not going to be able to phase everything out completely. It will still have stock, but it basically confirmed that any of the supplements that it was creating beforehand that were not vegan will cease to be reproduced. So they were essentially discontinued. So anything you see on shelves that's not vegan is basically gone. And so it's a very impressive, very creative company. They do a lot of special edition products, a lot of limited time items. They're no stranger to unique and creative flavors for things like Easter and Christmas, and they definitely get into the swing of things. And with summer now in full swing, they've come up with a Wild Summer series, which is not just one or two, it is 8 different products. They confirmed that it would consist of 2 limited edition flavors for 4 different supplements, and it confirmed that it would be doing this. Then it confirmed it would be doing this. Then it revealed the flavors. Then it launched them on this past Sunday, local Germany time, and they did not disappoint. They definitely showed their creativity as per usual. The 8 different products making that Wild Summer series included grape and 6 on the beach flavors of Pink Essentials, which is the brand's flavored multivitamin. Then there was Frappuccino and Buttermilk Lemon for its plant-based No Whey protein powder. The remaining 4 were Crazy Cactus and Exotic Orange for its creatine muscle builder Strong, and then another Buttermilk Lemon, so similar, or not similar, the same flavor that was for the No Whey, and for the brand's Smacktastic flavoring powder. And the other flavor for that Smacktastic product is I believe it's called Bee Sting Cake, if I'm not mistaken, which is translated, or it's a traditional German dessert or cake or whatnot, and it's the name itself is obviously in German, and it's BIENENSTICH, so I'd say I'm obviously not the best at pronouncing the names, but basically it is it's a traditional cake, like I said, traditional dessert from Germany, that's got a sweet layer of custard or buttercream within the cake, and then on the top it's caramelized almonds. So it's quite a delicious, quite a traditional treat. You actually see this quite a bit with European brands, where they will take a traditional or familiar local delicacy, treat, cake, whatever you want, and they make it into a flavor. And it would obviously seem very unfamiliar to people outside of that country or outside of the region, but those within it will know full well what it is and will be extremely excited. I always like to see that kind of stuff. I always like to see the brands give back to their local fans, give their hometown fans, if you will. But so all 8 of those products, or all 8 of the Wild Summer Series flavors, are now out and available in through Rocket Nutrition's online store. As mentioned, they're all limited time things, so once they're gone, that's it. They'll each cost you €29.99 per tub, except for Smacktastic, which is $15.99. But yeah, all limited edition, all out now, and go check them out. The next story we've got keeps us within Europe, and again, I thought this was a tremendously interesting story, and it's no surprise that it comes from none other than Got7 Nutrition, which is arguably, in the past, has been one of our favorite functional brands. Not necessarily that each item that they do kind of blows us out of the park, or, I mean, they definitely have their star products, such as the Bahia bar, which was one of the best high protein kind of snacks I've ever had. But they don't pick your traditional trends. They put together some truly creative and different things, stuff that you don't see from any other brand. And this past week, that is precisely what we got from Got7 Nutrition, with high protein sausages. Obviously, sausages are a little round kind of pork meat foods, and Got7 has basically made 2 of them based on traditional types of German sausages, with bratwurst and bockwurst. These are obviously separated by the different kind of looks, textures, and spices. But so basically Got7 Nutrition has made little cylinders with, I think it's like 6 sausages in each one. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 6. And they're high in protein and low in sugar. And I thought it was the craziest thing to see. Mostly because I just had never really. You see these odd foods, you see these. I mean, I think Bombar was a great example when they did their little pots of meat, just straight up beef and chicken. But this is a step further. These are high proteins. I'm not sure if they're higher in protein than traditional sausages, but or lower sugar than traditional sausages. All I know is that they are high protein, low sugar, and apparently, I haven't got their macros to confirm. We only had an image to go off, but each of them weighs 50 grams a piece, and come in, again, little cylinders. I'm intrigued to know what they look like, obviously, because sausages themselves come, to traditional kind of chilled meat. So I'm curious how it's packaged, how it's presented, how it's kind of served, what it's made of. Hopefully we'll actually have those details later this week, because when we got news on it, it was only that it would be coming to retailers and distributors, not that it would be picked up by retailers. It would be in retailers at that time. So hopefully as this rolls out, we'll have more details. But for now, that's kind of all we have. But either way, you don't really need to say much more. It's an extremely interesting product. The next story we head to America Energy, who we have been waiting for this for a very long time, and we are of course talking about the long-awaited relaunch of America Labs America Energy Drink, which, if you're a follower of ours, you'll know it has been considered our top best tasting energy drink compared to anything else out there. No brand that we ever tried delivered as well and as consistently and varyingly, if that makes sense, as America Energy. It just hits every flavor, nails it 100% every time, no matter the kind of approach they take or different types of flavors. It's a great energy drink, hard to beat, never something you want to put down. And a few months ago, I can't remember exactly when, but America ceased production or kind of distribution of the beverage in favor of giving it a big revamp and relaunch for 2021. That relaunch went down this past weekend, right on the 4th of July, and we got a fresh look at the can. We kind of had shared pictures previously, but it gives you a much better look at the can now, and it's a very different look than what they previously had, but at the same time it keeps those characteristics that made America Energy such a memorable and recognizable beverage. It's still got that signature red, white, and blue color scheme, and still kind of makes the logo and the title stand out above all, but it's just that it's got a smoother, more spacious kind of layout, more modern approach, less, I guess, in your face as the previous one, but still, again, very America. On the inside, nothing has changed. They've kind of kept all the same main ingredients. You still get 250 milligrams each of acetyl-L-carnitine and choline by tartrate, and then a combined 200 milligrams of caffeine from caffeine anhydrous and guarana. Still 0 calories as well, and the other big change, also the only other big change outside of the look, and as mentioned, the formula is the same, is the list of flavors. So America has really revamped the options you have to choose from on this one. It's only carried over 2 from the previous version's menu, and those are Freedom and the cream soda flavor Victory. The other 3 that are on there are completely new, and they are Daytona Beach, which is a pineapple and mango option. Then there's County Fair and Patriot Punch. So all of those are available now on the American Energy website, americaenergy.com. You can pick them up at $29.99 for a case of 12, or if you want to try all of the flavors without kind of buying one of each case, there is a variety pack, which America calls a melting pot, and it has all of the flavors in the one case for $34.99. And if you want to save some money and don't necessarily want to go down the variety bundle route, you can discount cases from $30 down to $25 if you buy 2, which is a pretty good deal. It brings it all the way from like $2.50 a can to $2.08, which is a good deal, I guess, when you're throwing them down, or if you're a frequent drinker of them. So yeah, it's good to see that finally launched. We're going to be pretty sure we actually have ours on the way to us this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere. We'll get our hands on it and give it a review. As I mentioned, the original was our number 1 rated energy drink, so of course we have to find out how good the sequel is, if it's as good as the original, and give it a review and give it a ranking. The next story we have comes from Obvi, and the interesting thing I've found, or kind of discovered about Obvi over the past month, was that when we do the Brand of the Year awards, we kind of have a lot of brands in mind that we've frequently seen, and when it comes into the year, we have a pretty good idea on who's in the running, mostly because we you just remember them. You just can think back and be like, oh, I remember seeing these guys a lot this year. They've done plenty. And Obvi has slowly become one of those brands. It's mostly surprising because it's not the brand we would typically have, and it's a very lifestyle nutrition, but it walks the line between sort of health, wellness, and sports nutrition. And they've been doing some impressive things this year, and this past week really kind of solidified it, I guess, when they announced that they're coming out with a beverage, and this is not your traditional beverage. And these are the things that make Obvi such an exciting brand, is that the beverage, or the first beverage from Obvi, is not going to be your usual energy drink as you'd kind of expect, but it's going to be a collagen-based drink, a hydration drink. So it brings together a variety of electrolytes, collagen, which obviously is very familiar with fans of Obvi, as that was the key ingredient in their first supplement. And you also get hyaluronic acid to also help with, combine with collagen to help with beauty and joint benefits. And as mentioned, electrolytes for hydration. And it's pretty nutritionally, well, not pretty, it's nutritionally friendly as you can kind of get. It has 7 grams of protein, no sugar and fat, and pretty much no carbohydrates, giving you a 32 calorie count for each bottle. And again, these are the kinds of things that Obvi's been doing this year that have just really stood out. You can't forget their collab, their chocolate chip cookie collab. I'm pretty sure that's still coming. But yeah, they've just been doing some very, very impressive stuff. And well worth checking out, and just constantly on our radar. So it's awesome to see them step into not just another format, but just to do it in a way that you wouldn't have expected, which is, I guess, kind of become what you'd expect from Obvi. Expect the unexpected. The next story we have is from none other than Apollon Nutrition, who literally just kind of blew up this week. Not that it wasn't already. But they revealed the full formula behind the latest edition of Assassin, which is the brand's highest, most potent pre-workout. And if you are a fan of that, just the hard-hitting, hardcore pre-workouts, then you need to get your hands on this one. If not yesterday, then tomorrow. But it's a beast. Pollen Nutrition has become that brand that just, it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly refining, and that's something that fans have come to rely on. It's not something you get from any other brand that I know of, and Pollen delivers it not just for its Assassin pre-workout. It does this with a lot of supplements, and we're not talking small leaps and bounds here. We're talking just big jumps in dosages, variety of ingredients, comprehensiveness, and the new Assassin kind of just delivers that too. The whole idea of this is sort of refining the experience, making it more balanced and comprehensive. So don't sort of think of it as, is this going to hit harder? That's not necessarily what they're trying to do. It's kind of like most pre-workouts. They don't always try and just make you feel it more. They try and improve the comprehensiveness, all-roundness. And so in Assassin V7, which is what this one is, it's version number 7, they've added betaine, hygienamine. They've swapped out isopropyl norepinephrine for Juglans regia at 300 milligrams per serving, and added Nupept at 30 milligrams to further increase focus. They've also increased the hordenine by 50% and tyrosine by 33%, and swapped out lowered it to 1.5 milligrams per serving, and then added in regular yohimbine at 2 milligrams. So small changes, small tweaks, but the label itself was already pretty stacked. So with those changes that they made, you kind of just, it's one of those things where you didn't think they could make it any better or add anything more or increase or tweak, and then you see the label in its entirety and you're just like, holy shit, kind of is a step up. You know, it always surprises you. You can check it out for yourself and full on the website, but you can also now buy it. It went on sale today on the 4th of July at Pollen Nutrition's gym, Pollen Gym. So many fans, we mentioned that in the post, many fans went up, bought it. I'm pretty sure they told me they had sold out of the amount of stock that they had at a Pollen Gym, which is crazy to know. Obviously on a holiday, and you know, people making the trip, I guess, to go grab it. But everyone else who wasn't within driving range or couldn't quite get there, the new Assassin will be available tomorrow, Monday, on the brand's website. So you better pick it up directly. There'll be 2 flavors on the menu with Ninja's Carnage and Tiger's Blood. But yeah, definitely a big launch for Pollen. They've had one hell of a year, so this kind of just keeps their momentum going, and it's been an exciting time watching Pollen grow the way it has. We've got 2 more brands to talk about. The next one we've got was actually out of Australia, and they quite impressed me with their all-new protein bar, which came to market, which is called Custard Protein Bar. Very simple name, but it's named after their protein powder, which is basically custard protein powder. It's casein-based supplement, and the protein bar though just looks, I mean, it caught our attention as soon as we saw it. It looks absolutely amazing. The brand itself is saying it's obviously delicious, and when you see pictures of it, that's kind of what had us. When we saw pictures of it, we're like, holy shit, maybe these guys aren't lying. That's kind of the case with a lot of protein snacks. We see every brand says theirs is the best in the world, better than anyone else's, and they don't really show pictures sometimes. And sometimes not everyone does that. Not everyone wants to rip it open and show you what it looks like. Protein bars aren't always the nicest thing to look at, even if they taste good. But Muscle Nation was very clearly pushing the look of this one, and in renders and both photos, this thing looks pretty damn delicious. So the way it is you don't get as much protein as your typical protein bar at 20. There's a 15 to 18 per bar with 5 to 6.9 of fat, 2.7 to 5.1 of carbohydrates, 4.5 as high as 4.5 grams of sugar, and 208 to 218 calories. So it's not as lean or high protein as a carb killer or a Bear Bell's protein bar. The Bear Bell sits in or sometimes under 200 calories and you get 20 grams of protein. So none of these flavors of the Muscle Nation have 20 grams or go as low in calories as Bear Bell's, which is our top rated protein bar. Same with Carb Killer. That one usually sits anywhere from 20 to 22. and that's in around the same calories, so same as Muscle Nation, but higher protein. But the build of this one is what kind of caught our eye and makes it look absolutely delicious. So the way it's set out is it's got kind of a base layer, or like a U base, doughy layer that doesn't look all that thick. So kind of what you get in your traditional bar with the base layer, but this one kind of shifts around into a U shape. And then down the center to level it out is this sort of creamy custard, which is flavored, and then above that layer you have like little bits of inclusions and whatnot to add even more flavor. And then the whole thing is wrapped in chocolate. And those little pieces on the inside do change from flavor to flavor, at least most of them. So there's Choc Mint and Choc Vanilla. They both have crunchy puffs down that on top of that custardy creamy layer. And then the caramel toffee has toffee pieces mixed in with gooey caramel. So kind of when you see it and when you hear it, it all sounds pretty damn good. We're hopefully going to get our hands on this as soon as possible, because I'm very intrigued as to how creamy that middle layer is, and if it's as big as the brand has made it or has pictured it. This should be a pretty damn good bar. If they can hit the taste right, like the taste of the chocolate and the little bits and pieces, I mean, this could be a damn tasty thing. The key is how creamy that creamy layer down the middle is. Many brands do that, and while it sounds great out loud when you say it or when you hear about it and see it, that creamy layer, sometimes it's just kind of creamy compared to the rest of the bar. So it's still quite doughy when you get it, or still quite thick. And sometimes you get that creamy layer, like the Optimum Protein Bar, I think it's the whipped one. That one is absolutely killer in consistency, as soft as a marshmallow, but just doesn't have the taste and the decadence and the richness and the sweetness that you get in the likes of Bear Bells or Grenade's Carb Killer, or even the outright protein bar. Just, so sometimes you get the good, but you miss out on that other stuff. I'm intrigued by this, because if they can hit the flavor, the consistency looks great, because of the size of that gooey layer, that custard center. Usually you need to have it to be quite large, because sometimes even when you put it down there and there's too much doughiness, it doesn't feel like it's custardy. It just feels like it's a little bit of sauce, and it just doesn't really loosen up the whole thing. So yeah, we'll hopefully get our hands on this when we can. It looks pretty damn amazing, and you can check it out for yourself on the site. Just type in custard Muscle Nation. The last brand we have to talk about, who, much like Apollo Nutrition, much like Obvi, is making an incredibly strong case for the title of Brand of the Year. And we are, of course, talking about Ghost. So if they do win it, it would make them the second two-time Brand of the Year for us. They've just been ripping it apart this year, despite delays, despite all the shit that's going on. They have been rolling non-stop, new flavors, new products, new launches. Obviously, some things have been delayed. I know Ghost Size was put off for a bit. We are still waiting for Ghost Burn, which was potentially going to be more than just one version. But this past week, Ghost dropped 3 bombs. Firstly, it was announced that Ghost is coming, or not coming. It's in now. It's available at the Vitamin Shop, which is big news, because ever since its inception, it has only been available in the US through its website and through GNC. So to step into Vitamin Shop, well, it's not necessarily a big story if it's a brand that's already at every other retailer out there. It's big for Ghost because they aren't available outside of GNC, and as mentioned, its own website. So this is big news, and the retailer isn't stocking its entire lineup, but does have pretty much all of the important ones, including Ghost Size, Ghost Pump, Ghost BCA, Ghost Whey, Ghost Vegan, Ghost Amino, and Ghost Legend. So it's got all those key supplements, all those mainstream category items. The one it's missing are sort of the lesser known ones, well, not lesser known ones, but just not as, I guess, popular categories. Ghost Glow, Greens, Multi, Burn, Gamer. And yeah, I actually was surprised Ghost Burn was left out of the group, because weight loss is a huge category, so I was surprised that one. But obviously this partnership is growing, and we will see more additions in the Vitamin Shop soon. But as I said, 3 big stories this week from Ghost. The second one I'm not doing this in order, but just more in terms of excitement. The second one is that Ghost is coming out with a bigger tub size of its Ghost Whey protein powder. And that was that there was a picture that surfaced at the vitamin shop of a 5-pound tub of Ghost Whey. It's Chips Ahoy collaboration. We got a picture, put it up, and we got the confirmation on the price. So Ghost is coming out with a 5-pound tub of Ghost Whey protein powder at the vitamin shop. So obviously bigger than the 2-pound tub, which is the only size that has ever been available for the supplement. It's going to have 58 servings, so it's still quite large, obviously. And the price per serving is obviously going to be cheaper than the original 2-pound or the original smaller size. So it could be $74.99, which works out to $1.29 per serving versus the 2 pounds, $1.53 per serving. So it's a pretty good deal, pretty good value if you're a fan of the protein powder. Something a lot of brands offer, but Ghost obviously hasn't done it. This year it is, or at least I'm not sure if it's this year, but I'm assuming it's this year since it's listed at Vitamin Shop, just not in stock yet. So that was very cool to see. Another expansion that it's not so big of a deal, I guess, when you're talking about most other brands. Like kind of like the Vitamin Shop thing. Like a lot of brands go into Vitamin Shop, but it's very rare you get a brand that is only in GNC in the Vitamin Shop. And it's very rare you get a brand that only does 2-pound like forever, especially when you're talking about someone as large as Ghost. The last story we have is probably the most exciting one of the three Ghost announced this week, and that's why I saved it for last, and that is the latest collaboration of Ghost. They've partnered up with Mondelez, which was the same company responsible, or the same company it partnered with for its Chips Ahoy and nut butter flavors of Ghost Whey. And this is something that people have been kind of assuming was coming, because Mondelez is the owner and company behind a lot of foods and snacks, including the incredibly popular Oreo Cookie, and that is what we got this week. After what seemed like several years of development, Ghost finally teamed up with Mondelez for an authentic Oreo Cookies flavor of its Ghost Whey protein powder. It does feature delicious bits of Oreo cookies in the powder itself, and it still manages to have that whey-based nutrition profile with 25 grams of protein, 2 grams of fat, a somewhat high 7 grams of carbs, but that's kind of what you'd expect when you've got actual Oreo cookies in there. And I imagine that they put just enough in there to make it taste delicious. And I think that 7 grams of carbohydrates will obviously be well worth it. And then you get a total calorie count of 150. So as far as I know, that is launching this coming Wednesday. I believe they said the 7th or 9th. I could be way off on that. I know it's coming very, very soon. So that should be out. I'm pretty sure it's the 7th. And yeah, make sure you grab your hands on it. They haven't said that it's limited edition. That wouldn't surprise me that it's not, because that's kind of the Nutter Butter and the Chips Ahoy. Those aren't limited flavors. Those are ongoing. But even though it's not going away anytime soon, Ghost sells out incredibly quickly of these things. So if you want to get your hands on it, get in ASAP, get your order and grab that, and secure yourself what I guess is probably one of the most exciting collabs I've seen. Obviously the Chips Ahoy was a big one back in the day, and by back in the day I mean, what was it, not last year, the year before? That was it. Either way, it was a big one. Diamatize obviously with its Pebbles ISO 100, and this kind of just feels like one of the biggest we've seen. I think it's hard to say. Engagement always changes, always different, but I'm excited to see. And Ghost did what it could to make this taste and remind you of Oreo cookie. This isn't going to be just another cookies and cream flavor. So yeah, we'll make sure we get our review up when we get our hands on it. But thank you for listening. We will make sure we get another interview out this week. We have several planned, and thank you for listening.